So, hello, Marina. Thank you for finding some time today to talk about your experience with the CP exam.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you for your invitation to talk about it.
yeah, so I have prepared some questions to ask you, but before that, my congratulations on this remarkable achievement because I think it has taken a lot of time and effort, but I think it's worth it, isn't it?
Indeed, indeed.
O- Okay, so now you're like in anticipation, and how soon are you going to get your results? Do you happen to know that?
Well, actually, they told us that we were to get our results in 6 weeks. So I guess it will be the beginning of January, but I hope I could get them sooner.
Okay, yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it so much. Okay, so now let's move on to the questions. The first question is general. When and actually how did you hit on the idea to take the CP exam? So how did it dawn on you?
Well, that's a good question because actually, I've been studying English like almost uh, since the first year at school, I guess. And this has always been like my favorite subject. So I have been going gradually to that step because I took A2 exam, then B1, B2. And that is why it seemed like a logical stage because I felt like C1 um, is almost the same, but it's still a different level. And I wanted to go for a higher one.
Hmm.
And I felt like I had the knowledge to do it.
So you had this urge, yeah, to take this one.
Yeah, yeah,
Sense of completion, isn't it? Because of that, so you can.
yeah, absolutely. Because I don't need it for starting off a work yet, but it somehow motivates you to go on with your language. And I love taking exams basically because they show you how good you are, and if you
Yeah,
are just that good.
yeah, definitely, of course, to motivate yourself first, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because of that. Okay. Where did you take your exam? Just a few words. Where?
So it was the BKC school.
Uh-huh.
And I think everything was well prepared and well organized. So yeah,
Okay.
it was not a stressful environment.
Yeah, we'll talk about this a little later. So you took it in the like it's Moscow, yeah, the BKC, the
Yeah,
school
yeah.
that we have there. Okay. So I know that you took your exam. So there were 2 days, right? And there was this week gap between them, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Okay. So the
yeah, because
first,
speaking was the first. Yeah.
yeah, speaking was the first, and then next was writing, listening, and reading. It was a different day. Okay. So do you think that the order matters? Because people think, most of people think, and I'm no exception, that the most challenging part is normally the writing part, like these three parts: writing, listening, and reading. And first you need to take this, and then you have speaking, and that's it. So what's your stance on that?
Well, normally this was how it always happened for me. Like when I
Yeah.
took the other exams, so they have other stages of English, and also I took German exams, three German exams,
Uh-huh. Wow.
A2, B1, and B2. And it was always the same order, like first the written part and then speaking. And it usually was either on the same day or like Saturday and Sunday. So one by one.
Mhm.
Um, Here, yeah, it was a little bit different, but actually I felt more comfortable about having speaking first
Mhm.
because it's the part where you don't know exactly what's going to happen, and it's a little bit more stressful than the written part because there you know there is structure, like you know you have use of English, you have reading, you have an essay, and then like report and some other stuff. And speaking is really quite mysterious, I must admit. And you never know who you will have to communicate with. And it could be like one person, or there could be three of you. So it's very challenging. And I was glad to just get rid of that feeling of anticipation first, and then just concentrate fully on the written part.
Yeah, 100%. There's always room for spontaneity in the situation, no matter how much you practice and how long, right? And
Yeah.
so much depends on your partner, the one you have to your speaking partner. And so how do you think what do you think, how did your part go, how did your speaking part go in terms of collaboration? So did you have time to agree on who's going to be first in advance, or no? So how...
No, it was okay. I was taking the exam together with a nice woman who works as an English teacher in one of Moscow universities.
Mhm.
So we had time to communicate, to learn something about each other, to speak English. Actually, we were discussing some of the topics which could possibly appear in the exam. I mean, environmental issues, some social issues. So we had time to practice, we had time to know each other, and we had time to actually define the order and all of that. So it
Mhm.
was perfect.
Mhm. Okay, yeah. So you've discussed this, yeah? So
Yeah, yeah.
before that, okay. And the question that always worries everybody: how can we keep track of time? Because we don't have any, like, maybe we have a watch, a wristwatch, but actually you're so nervous you don't track anything. And how can you know that there's how much time is left? And this is the question.
This is a good question because honestly, I don't know how it works, but somehow subconsciously you know it, because if you actually practice
Mm-hmm.
and before taking the exam you practice speaking part, I don't know, like 3 5 times or even more,
Yeah.
you start understanding
Mm-hmm.
how many things you could actually discuss in that span of time.
Yeah.
And it's no problem if you finish a little bit earlier, because we already like discussed everything.
Uh-huh.
And when just we were looking at the examiner and she was smiling at us, and we understood that there is a little bit more time.
Okay.
And it was not a big problem, because like there was still one picture which we didn't pay detailed attention to, and
Uh-huh.
so we came back to it and we discussed it again and then came back to the conclusion, so it's no big deal.
Oh, right. Yeah. So that means that the examiner, like the interlocutor, the person always helps you. Like he or she
Yeah,
shows
yeah.
you. Yeah, you see from the expression of their faces.
Yeah, you can read the emotions. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it was no big deal, right? You just like you
Yeah,
really.
it was fine. So just as soon as you realize that you still have time,
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't discussed something, maybe
Okay.
you could come up with any idea and just go on talking.
Yeah, okay, yeah, definitely. And I suppose that one more thing is that you've mentioned, I think that it's right to say that you can finish a little earlier, but the idea is that so you value quality, yeah, of what you have spoken about. Yeah, not the timing, quantity, how long, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was also worried about timing, but one shouldn't be when
Yeah.
taking this exam, because
Yeah.
it works well in reality. It seems like it's a little bit scary, but in reality, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, but you never know until so until you try it.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
may say, yeah, so be scared, but then it's okay. All
But
right.
be
And
confident. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And even self-confident in what you're doing. Okay. So, and genuinely, like speaking about this part, the first part, how can you evaluate this? I mean, like, how was it for you? So was it confusing, challenging, or was just plain sailing? You relaxed? It was kind of an interview. Like, how was it?
Well, it was challenging, obviously, because it's not that you just speak. You think of sophisticated vocab,
Uh-huh.
just anyway. You have to do it, and for the like, if you actually split your speaking in two parts,
Uh-huh.
uh, in the first one, I mean, in the beginning, you just understand that you use like the simplest things possible, and you're like, okay, I need to go just to something more sophisticated. And then the second part, like you put everything you know in there, because obviously you're a little bit stressed, and when feeling this pressure, you resort to the easier words, obviously. But then more complicated stuff just springs to your mind, and your speaking really becomes better, like in the second part. And that's
Mhm.
important because there you have the monologue, and you have the sort of interaction with your partner on the topic that is given to you. And there you have a chance, like you have a little bit more freedom, and therefore you have a chance to use some of the vocab which you know and which you like and which is sophisticated.
So you say that it springs to mind really like naturally, and maybe unconsciously you don't understand how it works, yeah, but you use this vocab because people are afraid of like they worry that they will forget all this sophisticated vocab and the idioms, and their language won't be like good enough for it.
This is the question of fluency,
Yeah.
because like if you want to take CPE, you need to be sure
Yeah.
that you're fluent.
Yeah.
And speaking here is just as important as any written part, because if we talk about previous stages, speaking was not that important. Like you were able to actually do it greatly even if you were not that good at speaking, and you still could get the highest marks. Here it's a little bit more complicated. Like you need to be sure that this sophisticated vocab is not something you learned prior to the exam, but something you know and could use confidently.
Yeah. So this is the master level, right? And it's out of the question whether you're fluent or not. You are, because if you resorted to it, that's what you do. Okay. And the final thing is about the speaking part. What advice would you give? Like how to prepare? How can we actually prepare for it? What helped you in particular? Is there any prerequisite for for the success in this type of in this part of the exam? So your advice.
Well, except for simply practicing the tasks, the only real way to make sure that you possess all those sophisticated words and they are active, so it means you can use them whenever you want. It's only like reading in English and watching stuff in English. And by this, I obviously mean like everything. So any movie, no matter how difficult it may be in terms of vocabulary, without subtitles, and you need to be able to understand it and process some words through your mind. And reading here helps greatly, because reading, well, for me, maybe it's the best part, because I perceive most things visually. So when I read something, those structures, they are just like in my mind, and those words, and it's easier to remember. So obviously the key here for CPE is just having a lot of information around you in English, the information which is natural and which was produced by the natural speakers.
Authentic materials.
Yeah. So it must be in English originally, because then it sounds natural, and subconsciously just you remember it.
Yeah.
Native speakers, yeah, that's the key here.
Yeah, and you I think it's important to mention that you've said that it depends on the channel, or the perception channel that you have, that is best developed for you, because for you it's reading, right? And when you read, you memorize things better. For me personally, it's listening, and sometimes like listen, I always listen to something in like in English, some authentic materials, even when I don't know, do the cleaning or whatnot. And sometimes I'm surprised myself, then like I do something, I speak or I write, and then wow, something I remember, I know this word, I just I haven't used it recently, but now I use it, and how come I know it? It's like recorded somewhere, yes, in our brain. And that's it. Yeah, but definitely, there is no magic pill, as people say. Yeah, how to learn vocabulary, how to do it. Just listen and read. That's universal.
Yeah, here for this stage, there is no universal advice. Like,
yeah, like
because it's not about like studying and preparing anymore. It's just about knowing the language, and by this I mean like feeling it.
Yeah, feeling, this innate feeling. And so it's like the CP1, the C2 level is about like being on this level and maintaining this level, right?
Yeah.
You don't learn anything. You don't, maybe some new words, some new vocab that you add to your stock.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, so thank you. That's it for the speaking part. Now day 2. So there was in a week, right? there was
Yeah.
the second part. Did you take a paper-based exam or a computer-based exam?
Yeah, I took a paper-based exam because I'm so conservative.
Yeah, I know, but we'll talk about this a little later too. What was the order? Which part came first, second, third?
So first it was reading and use of English,
Mm-hmm.
then writing, and
Mm-hmm.
speaking came last.
Okay, it's always the same. So
Oh,
like,
listening. Sorry, I said
no, listening
speaking.
should be the last one, right?
Yeah, yeah, listening was last. I thought
Uh-huh.
I said speaking instead of listening. Okay.
Yeah, it's so fine. Okay, did you manage to allocate time well? Because, for each part, like use of English reading 1 hour and a half, writing 1 hour and a half, and listening like 16 minutes about that.
Yeah, for use of English and reading, it was fine. Well, for listening, obviously too, because you have recorded
You do
files.
have no option.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Writing was a little bit complicated,
Hmm.
although I'm really quick when I do it, and like I've never actually had this problem, but here, like an hour and a half, you're really pressed for time. I mean, there is no time for you to make any like detailed notes, so you just start writing it. Maybe having made just a few points for yourself in advance, but you shouldn't be wasting your time too much,
Hmm.
because if you do, you won't have time to come back to your writing, like reread it and check if everything is correct.
Hmm.
Well, I finished like exactly when the time ran out, so it was okay. I managed to count the words, to reread what I had written, and to make some corrections. So it was okay. But actually, I was surprised how quickly the time just went by, and that is why you need to be really concentrated on the task and not waste like any minute.
Hmm. So there's nothing like exams that proves that time flies. So this
Yeah.
is the only way to do to understand this concept. Okay, so you've said that you've allocated time well, so you had time to even transfer your answers, right? Not answers, your writing, because probably you used a draft paper, then you had to transfer in the answer sheet, or did
No,
you?
no, no.
No, that's like
I wrote, yeah, because like I understood that there will be no
yeah.
time for that.
Oh, okay, but did you, for example, let's start with the first part of writing this compulsory essay.
Mhm.
Did you manage to identify all the two key points in the text? Was it easy?
Yeah, I underlined them in the text and I just put the marks there, like point one, point two, in
Okay,
the next text the same. Yeah.
uh-huh, okay. And did you have time to devise any plan? Because you've mentioned that you had some ideas. Did you, like, before writing?
Well, I started writing because I knew the structure, and it went just quite easily. I must have. Well, I had honestly, I wasted more time than needed on the very first passage because in the texts themselves, the topic was about friendship, and they used the majority of possible phrases. And paraphrasing there was really difficult, and I wasted a lot of time on that. But
Mm,
then, after just finishing the first passage, it went quickly and naturally.
okay, and you counted the words, yeah, and it was
Yeah.
okay. So, and while proofreading, so you proofread this, and did you spot any like slips? Uh,
I don't remember if this was in the essay, but I misspelled vulnerable. No, it wasn't an essay. It was in the letter, I guess.
okay.
Yeah, so I misspelled vulnerable, but just I spotted it. But yeah, like everything else was, I guess, fine.
Okay, okay. And part two, where you have choice, yes, different types of report, article, a letter, and something. What did you choose? What was the
I
one?
chose a formal letter.
Oh yeah, formal letter. So how did it go? Did you like? Was it easy? Like I know that you prepared for all of this. You know the structure, yeah, of all the types of
Yeah.
writing. So did you have any difficulty there in doing this?
No, no, formal letter has a very understandable structure,
Yeah.
and you just follow this structure, and it's not a problem at all. The other two options were a report, a review, and then just those tasks which are
Yeah.
about specific
Books normally or films, many books.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there was both like a book and a film,
Mm-hmm.
um a review and an article there was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was choosing between the report and the formal letter, and the report was like about charity, some charity event, and I realized just I wasn't in the mood for describing it, and formal letter felt like a better idea because the topic was about advertisements, and it seemed relevant. Like
Yeah.
I immediately some ideas came to me, and I realized, yeah, that's the choice then. If I just already have
So,
some of the thoughts
so
on it.
they knocked on your door and said, Marina, hi. So
Yeah.
we've spoken about advertising like so many times, millions of times, and
Yeah,
I can do it. Yeah, definitely, that's a good topic
exactly.
to cover. So, and all in all, again, in writing, in this part, we have 1 hour and a half. Can you say that you divided this time into two equal halves, like 45 minutes one part, 35 minutes the other part, or
I
no?
guess, yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, I think it was like two equal parts.
Okay, and overall, are you satisfied with your writing?
Yeah, I am. I think I could have used some more complicated words, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, when you write it at home, it's different because you do not feel the pressure, and you can come back to some of the words that you somehow like notice somewhere easily. But here,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more complicated. I still managed to use some sophisticated structure, so I guess it's fine. But I could have done better, obviously.
Oh, it's always like that. You're always dissatisfied with yourself
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
it's
absolutely.
natural. But you know what? We've mentioned that today a couple of times that sophisticated vocabulary. Of course, it is. It's a prerequisite. Yes, goes without saying. Of course, but still, we shouldn't forget about the fact that whether it is your writing or speaking part, no matter what, you should be natural because you can bombard your examiner or
Yes,
with
yes.
these sophisticated vocab, and no, you won't sound natural. So do you agree that it's
Yeah, you need to keep track of what you're talking about
yeah, definitely.
in order to make sure that everything is coherent and
Yeah,
coherent.
yeah, so cohesion and coherence, yeah, definitely things that to consider. But again, coming back to the way how it can be achieved, I mean, there's fluency and the understanding of which vocabulary is used and which vocabulary units are not used, is again listen, read, watch, yeah, like
Yeah,
develop this in yourself. Okay.
and do this for years, actually, not only prior to the exam.
Well, I suppose people who take the C2 exam like are experienced enough in
Yeah,
this.
yeah, they should have some experience.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so and the last part is listening. So the question here, so there are 4 parts, and people most of the time, sometimes, not sometimes, yeah, normally people, they fear part number 4, multiple matching. So do you think, how was it?
It was easy. I
Oh my
mean,
goodness, was it?
when you prepare for it, the tasks are unbelievable. Like you listen twice,
Uh-huh.
uh, you're very concentrated,
Yeah.
and you still have no idea which option to choose because they all sound the same. But here, uh, we had such an easy task. It was like absolutely understandable. I did like there are five sentences, I guess. Yeah, five
I don't
speakers,
remember. Yeah,
right?
kind of like that. I don't remember. Yeah, but there is
Well,
a number of
so
speakers. Yeah.
yeah, after the first recording, I managed to complete the tasks for all speakers except one. And I was absolutely confident in everything. Then I just listened again. Obviously, I completed like that last speaker, which was left, and checked the others. And it was absolutely fine. Like, I also feared part four and also part one because part one, sometimes when you prepare, is also very complicated. Uh, but it was easy. Like if you could even use this adjectives when you talk about CPE. But
Yeah.
uh, if we compare the tasks which we had in the real exam with the tasks for preparation, like
Heaven and
different
earth,
level.
like yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, you compare this to things. So it proves once again that sample tests Are normally more difficult, more challenging.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good because they prepare you for the worst.
Yeah, be prepared for the worst, definitely. The worst scenario that you may have.
Yeah.
Okay, the question is, there is one more question. So can you stop and pause the recording, or you have no right to do that? It just goes without.
Yeah, obviously you don't. That's the exam.
Yeah, so you have
So
this
there is no
time
way
and
you could re-listen like when you do at home when you prepare.
yeah.
Sometimes like if you understand it after 2 times, you cannot understand it. You could play it the third time, but here like you have no choice.
Yeah, because some people ask me like whether, yeah, I understand that I have I have two attempts, but I can pause, think, and then resume. No,
Seriously.
it doesn't work like that,
It's it's,
does it?
it's strange because like any exam,
Yeah,
whatever exam you take, you cannot interfere in the process.
yeah. So be prepared. Yeah, I think, but I think it's enough, right? The pace is good, the equipment is good, and you can hear well. And
Well, there was like some sort of echo in the
oh,
room.
yeah,
And the thing is that like I was the youngest in the room,
yeah.
and it was strange for me that some adults who are in their 30s, I guess, maybe even 40s,
Uh-huh.
they were actually making sort of complaints like, "Oh, I can't hear anything. There is such an echo here." And I was sitting there and thinking, like, if you can't hear things with an echo, then you shouldn't be taking CPE. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds a little bit complacent, even very complacent, I must say. Absolutely, like I
Yeah,
shouldn't be saying that. But the
yeah.
thing is that you're not at school, and uh, and you must understand that this exam is like a very serious thing, and you should be able to like to work in any conditions. And it wasn't like any severe echoing, which you could not even just imagine. No, it was absolutely okay. A little bit of echo, but it was fine. It was still comprehensible. So
Yeah, you know what? It's like a fair point, because in real life, first we don't have this ideal conditions. Like
yeah,
it's like
almost
everybody.
never.
Yeah. So, for example, someone speaking like the Queen, like the Queen's English, and absolutely 100% understandable and so on. No. Plus, this tendency now that many recordings, many audio files are like they are with the not non-native speakers. Because we need
Yeah.
to feel the diversity of accents, and we need to differentiate between them, and it's quite okay if it's not ideal. That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And maybe just a good thing for me is that I had, in my school years, I had a lot of experience in different Olympiads. And the Olympiad that the Higher School of Economics has in English for school children, there they make just in the listening part, uh, it's not just the speaker speaking, but in the recording there are some sounds which interfere. And that's a good point because like it's very complicated and sometimes it was almost impossible. But it shows you that like listening is not simply the person talking. That's the first thing. And the second, there are other ways to complicate listening, not just by the pace or accent. You could
Mhm.
also just it was a very interesting experience, and that is why echoing is really not a problem.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a distraction, but it's a sort of natural distraction.
Yeah,
Yes, in real life, there is a car, someone drilling, for example, when you're just having a conference
yeah.
and
Just
stuff.
imagine you're talking to someone like in the underground.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's it.
there
Or
are
on
all
the
sorts of
phone.
complications.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have to be used to it. Yeah, definitely, that's a good point. Okay, that's it about the parts, and now some questions to sum it all up our talk today. The first thing is, why did you opt for the paper-based exam? Because I opted for a computer-based one. It was easier in terms of writing, for example. It counts words for you. It's easier. So, what about you?
So at the time when I was making the decision,
Mm-hmm.
for me, because like again, coming back to the school years, all the Olympiads, they were paper based, and I
Okay.
took like hundreds of them, and it seemed like natural for me. Ideas came more quickly to me. If we talk about writing,
Mm-hmm.
it was easier for me to generate ideas and put them on paper rather than type them.
Mm-hmm.
But during our months of preparation, I realized that it's really no difference. And maybe uh, just if there was some other stage up there, but maybe IELTS, is there an opportunity for IELTS like computer based? No.
Don't remember. Yeah, there is an opportunity.
Then maybe I'll take IELTS as computer based,
Mm-hmm.
because now I realize that when because I used to think that when I type, I cannot just think of words and ideas as quickly as when I write. But
Interesting.
now I realize it's almost the same, so it's no problem.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good point because I have a different habit now, and yeah, that's good. But it's okay that you can write. It's better because some people can type and they can't write, but you still have this skill because
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
world. That's cool. And so, as far as I understand, if you had to choose now, you would probably,
Which is computer based.
yeah, okay, just to economize time, for example, like
Yeah, the good thing is that it counts words,
yeah,
and reading, which we discussed. The reading, when you have
yeah,
to put the passages into the text,
yeah,
just you could read it
yeah,
in that way.
yeah.
It's good. But
And
the problem is that still, for me, it's a little bit more difficult to identify mistakes when I'm reading from screen. So
okay.
maybe if I just like, if we take this example that I misspelled vulnerable, and when I was rereading it, it caught my eye, and I was like, no, something's not right here. This word is not
Mm-hmm.
spelled that way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if it was computer based, I wouldn't have really paid attention to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there are like some pros and some cons, and every time you just
Yeah.
look for what's better for you, what suits you best. Okay. So I can't avoid this question, but still need to ask this. What about the health and safety measures taken by the exam center, like the situation?
Yeah, this year obviously imposes some of the new ideas in the
Yeah.
in terms of organization. So if we talk about speaking, um, we had to wear masks, but it's up to the examiner. Like when we came to the room, the previous speakers, the previous people who were taking the exam, they were not wearing masks. So I guess they asked the examiner if they could take them off,
Mm.
and the examiner just said they could. Because the examiners were not wearing masks, because they had to be like the examiner who was talking to us, because she
Yeah.
had to uh, like to speak in the way that we understand her perfectly.
Yeah. I
I
took
do
you.
not think it really, yeah, I do not think masks really hinders the quality, because like it's silent in the room. So basically, if you speak well, it's
Yeah.
okay. But we were talking in the masks,
Mm-hmm. Really.
which
So
may be a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah.
yeah, because some people may have like breathing problems, breathing implications because of that. Like
Well, you
plus
could
they're
take it like
nervous.
off your nose. If you could take
Ah,
it off your
okay,
nose, and
yeah, yeah. It will.
yeah,
So
better in terms of sound, and yeah.
and what about, as far as I remember, because I took my exam in the same center, the room was the classroom, the room where we took the exam, the speaking part. There was quite small. It was quite small. And what about the arrangement? The arrangement of the
No,
furniture.
actually, it was a classroom, but it was enormous.
Oh, really? You
Like,
had a different one?
yeah, yeah. Just
Probably, yeah.
there was a table for us, and then just a couple of kilometers away, there was a table for the woman who was making notes. So it
Yeah,
was an enormous room.
and the interlocutor, the examiner, the main one. So was she like? Was there any social distancing like between
No,
you?
no, she was right in front of us. I mean, there were two desks, so one desk for us, one desk for
Uh
her. I
huh.
guess
They
it's
had the
like
same.
it's not 1.5 meters, it's a meter, but like
Uh huh. Okay. So and
doesn't matter.
you and your partner, were you quite close to each other, sitting
Yeah, yeah,
shoulder to
yeah,
shoulder?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And what about the writing part?
Yeah, there we had to wear masks. This was compulsory.
Yeah.
And speaking about gloves, some people wore them, but it was not compulsory. So it's
Uh
only your
huh.
choice if you feel more comfortable that way. you can wear them, but for me, it's very uncomfortable because it's not possible to write that
Yeah.
quickly when you're
And
wearing
you
those
sweat,
gloves.
your
So
hands sweat and like.
yeah. So I wasn't, but there were some people who were. So
Mm.
it's just only your choice, just the way you feel more comfortable.
So like masks are a must, gloves are
Yeah,
optional all the time. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, and my last question for today. So what advice would you give to a person who wants to start preparing for the exam? So what would you recommend the person do? How should the person approach this preparation? And what should be done? What would be your advice to the person?
Well, first start preparing in advance.
How
I
how,
mean,
how so how what is the yeah
uh,
what's the time when you have to
yeah,
start?
it's
How
different for
early?
everyone, but I guess if you really want to be on on a really high level, because it's an exam, it's not only your English, your everyday English, it's something more complicated than that. Like half a year at least, and better maybe a year, because for me the situation was a little bit different. I was taking part in the uh, Saros Olympiad, and it was like you do C2 tasks there in order to prepare for it. So the first half of 2020 for me, it was that preparation, and then the second part was specifically for CPE. But it's like doing the same tasks almost in terms of grammar, reading, and listening. So for me, it was like a year of preparation, half of the year, like specifically for CPE, but still, you need time in order to do all those like grammar tasks, because you need to remember some things which you may never uh, really come around again. But like you have to do that. You have to do a lot of sample tests and a lot of tasks in order to prepare for it. And the key here is not to be lazy and actually just find, well, first thing is to find a proper motivation, because if you don't have a proper motivation, you're not gonna spend enough time on it. And second, be prepared to do a lot of stuff
Hmm.
in order to prepare.
So as I understand, so the first, like it took you a year, I guess we would say so,
Oh
approximately
yeah.
a year. The first half, you just revised grammar, vocabulary, and stuff like that, practice. And then you continued, plus you familiarized yourself with the structure, because you can't
Yes,
take an exam without knowing its
exactly.
structure, definitely, no matter how well you
Exactly.
know this. So you think that, okay, so first is allocate time, choose, like probably choose the check what the exam dates are, and check choose the one that you want, like
Yeah, yeah.
exam when you want to take your
No,
exam.
first is find the motivation, then start
Motivation.
getting ready for
What
the
was your
exam. Yeah.
motivation? Okay, what was your motivation?
Uh, self-confidence, I don't know, self-development, and making sure um, that my personal opinion concerning my level of English is not only my personal, but it could be justified by, well, some formal type of certificate, you know.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that you need a teacher or someone to help you prepare for this exam?
For me,
And,
it's out of the question. I definitely need someone to prepare with, because naturally I'm quite lazy, as most people, I think, and I need someone to really just
push you.
push me to do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
Hmm.
obviously someone who knows the structure and could explain you how speaking works and how to write all those things. So thank you very much.
Oh, I do appreciate this. Thank you so much. Yeah. And there's one more person who has his or her own perspective. And when you, for example, discuss the essays or some other types of writing, you just there's a pool of ideas, yeah, and you choose the best. Like this kind of
Yeah, yeah.
collaboration and work, like yeah, teamwork in this respect, isn't it? And I think that as I understand it, like for me, because I prepared myself, myself, but still,
Because you're smart.
no,
Yeah,
because I'm a teacher and I know the methodology.
yeah.
But one, so if I have a good teacher, yeah, a professional, someone knowledgeable, this is one more. This is motivation for me too. I see the person. I can't let the person down. I just
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is about me too. Because just I absolutely I can't.
Yeah.
I can't even like miss classes or not do my homework. Like only if I am really pressed for time and I just didn't manage. But generally, just I still feel really guilty about that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, Marian, thank you so much. I've enjoyed our conversation, and now it's now it's all done, and now we're waiting for the results to come.
Yeah.
I don't know what the life has in store for you. Maybe C4, but there is no such exam yet. But still, maybe there will be some kind of things like that.
IELTS
Oh
will
yeah,
come
IELTS.
next in
Yeah.
about a year, I guess.
Oh my goodness, so soon. Okay. Yeah. So now let's breathe in.
Get ready.
I'm getting ready. Okay. I'm starting. Yeah, plan for it right now. Okay. So
Okay.
definitely. Marian, thank you once again for it. I do appreciate your time, your thoughts, your ideas, and I'm really, really excited, and I'm really happy that you have taken this one, and I'm happy to be part of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I actually got to know you, and we spent those amazing months preparing, and I managed to just learn really so many things, not only in terms of the format of the exam, but in terms of the language. And I do appreciate all your effort and all your preparation, because this is what is the most important for me. It's just to see that the teacher is also motivated, excited, and fully prepared to give any advice and to provide any material which I need. So
Okay.
thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. So, Mariam, thank you once again, and hope that this information, this video, will be useful for someone who is preparing or motivate a person to do that and take a step forward.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much.